It took over 4 years, but the Tesla Cybertruck was absolutely worth the wait.
Yeah.
All the way back in 2019, from the moment we first laid eyes upon this damn thing, we knew that we were in for a treat. In addition to choices like building the whole thing out of stainless steel panels with flat planes and sharp edges, something that no one else does for very good reasons, Elon himself gave us a taste of things to come when he talked up how tough the glass was and then immediately just completely botched the demonstration by not once but twice leaving the apocalypse-proof Cybertruck sitting on stage with 2 windows shattered by the laziest ever tosses of a steel ball.
But hey, with 4 years of development, surely they were able to work out all the kinks of Elon Musk's magnum opus. No, they weren't. Of course they weren't. As we've seen over the past few months, the Cybertruck has been a nightmare for many of the folks that put down a deposit way back in the pre-pandemic times and then finally got their dream car. In fact, as more Cybertrucks have shipped to customers, we've gotten to see more and more incredible examples of their immense disappointment. And it's a truly unique kind of disappointment due to the sunk cost. Not only the sunk cost of the roughly $100,000 that it cost to just buy the truck, but also the sunk cost of being an Elon Musk superfan. Even while lamenting problems that are objectively not normal for a brand new expensive car, they continue to insist that it is the best car they've ever owned. And it's getting worse with every kind of post online. And still, it always ends with love the car, love the company.
Thank you, Elon.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. And yeah, obviously, it is the best thing they've ever owned because it came from the richest and therefore smartest person.
The man they love.
Yes.
The man they love more than their wife and kids.
The genius, Elon Musk.
So yeah, it's time yet again for our recurring segment on Cybertruck owners' woes, which these owners are more than happy to share on the public internet for all of our enjoyment. How nice of them. So let's start with a guy that fits the Cybertruck owner profile to a T. He goes by Lamar MK on Twitter and YouTube, and while he doesn't have a ton of followers, his posts have gone viral multiple times because his Cybertruck has been just a constant headache for him. His timeline whiplashes between posts where he's begging Elon Musk to please put an end to all of his suffering, please fix this car, and other posts where he praises Elon and Tesla and the Cybertruck and rails against their haters. So here's a post of his from a few days ago.
Let's take a moment to reassess the situation. I took delivery of my Cybertruck nearly 2 months ago, yet I've only been able to drive it for about 2 weeks. It's the most eco-friendly truck that you can own because you literally cannot drive it sometimes. It's been in service 3 times since then, and it's still in service. Every time I drive the current one, something seems to break. I don't want to live in constant fear that it will malfunction again after each visit to the Tesla Service Center. Therefore, I respectfully request an expedited replacement Cybertruck to be delivered to the Raleigh Service Center as soon as possible. My patience can only go so far. Additionally, I currently have a wrap and custom license plate, and I can't even put any of them on my Cybertruck. Under the North Carolina Lemon Law, I have the option to choose between a buyback or a replacement, and a replacement is what I'm opting for. My truck wasn't just plagued by one issue. It had all of the major issues. It's an early 2000 VIN Cybertruck, so hopefully a newer one coming off the production line has made the necessary fixes to address all of these issues. Please, sir. By the way, great company, beautiful head of hair. I just want to drive the truck I bought.
I just need a completely different car than the one I bought. Because this one is, it is a lemon. I'm not saying the Cybertruck is a lemon. I'm saying my Cybertruck is a lemon.
He's being very nice about it.
And it's probably my fault. But like, can I just get a new one? Can I just start fresh?
Look, I am just a walking piece of bad luck. And I am sure that this is all of my fault. When I open the door, it could be any door. It falls off the hinges.
Things just happen to me.
I'm a klutz. So yes, this is the perfect truck for me, but I would still like it to be operational.
Yes.
And by the way, great head of hair, Mr. Musk.
And yeah, when he says that he's experienced all the major issues, most recently that includes getting a big flashing red screen of death on his first road trip with the Cybertruck, as well as being unable to actually charge it, which is pretty important.
Yeah.
Just a quick glance at his YouTube page. It's a real window into the specific kind of cope that you only really see with Cybertruck owners, featuring titles like Broken on First Road Trip, Broken Again After 1 Week, Help Me, Elon, and Broken After 2 Weeks, What Happened? Alongside other videos that are clearly like he's stoked about the car. It's mixed messages happening here.
Yeah.
And even when he's complaining about what a nightmare the Cybertruck owner's experience has been, He's posting stuff like, Cybertruck haters are simply frustrated that their preferred automakers didn't produce a vehicle like the Cybertruck. And, fun fact, I bet most of the people hating on the Cybertruck secretly want one. What do you call them? Undercover fans?
Yeah, everyone's just really jealous of you in your car that doesn't work.
I'm jealous of how busy you are.
Also, it's like, well, it's not drivable, but when I pose next to it, ladies seem to love it.
Yeah.
And I would assume that this is true and that women look at men who own the Cybertruck and say, there's a sucker with a lot of money.
I hang out outside the club next to my Cybertruck, and when I do successfully pick up a woman, I call us an Uber.
Yeah.
Because the car...
something reliable for
the
once.
car, I can't trust it to get us back to where we need to go.
But it is mine. Look, I'll do the frunk. There you go. Pretty cool. Someone responded to that last one that he posted with, you were crying out in your previous post that your Cybertruck has been on service for the past several months and you asking for a replacement, yet here you are, so proud of vehicle you gave you so much headache. Why would people envy paying $100,000 for misery? And Lamar replied, the Cybertruck is hands down the best vehicle I've ever driven when everything is working as it should. But when it's not operational, it's frustrating not being able to drive such an incredible truck.
I love, yes, it's minus the 75% of the time I've owned it, that's been sheer hell, best car I've ever owned. That 25%, when nothing was going wrong, it was great. No complaints about that. I just wish it wasn't just 25.
My only complaint about this beautiful, fantastic truck, no tailpipe to stick my dick in.
Yeah.
I simply cannot fuck this truck.
At Elon Musk, let me fuck the car,
just
please.
Put in
help me,
It
Elon.
doesn't have to be functional. I mean, I'll make it functional.
Yeah. The Sayusi.
Meanwhile, it's a great appendage to test out the force of the front closing, which we'll get to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Lamar has definitely drunk the Kool-Aid, but in his defense, his undying faith in Elon Musk does not extend to pointlessly risking bodily harm the way some other Cybertruck owners have been doing lately. It sounds like something teenagers would do as part of a TikTok challenge, but grown-ass adult men are breaking their fingers to test their faith in their $100,000 cars. It started a while back when car YouTubers reviewing the Cybertruck would do what's called the carrot test, pressing the button to shut the Cybertruck's frunk, and then sticking a carrot in harm's way to see if the car would sense the obstruction and stop closing, as most vehicles with automatic trunks and tailgates do.
Yeah.
Now, the carrot is obviously a stand-in for a human finger, maybe a child's finger. And the results were a lot of chopped carrots, which is not great.
No. Now, the lesson here for most of us would be to just make sure to never, ever stick your fingers near that Cybertruck's front.
Yeah.
Or just, avoid being near a Cybertruck in general, which is I've been doing since the release of this thing, just staying away. But Cybertruck owners, they are built different, and they want to prove that this is the best truck anyone can ever own. So after Tesla issued a software update making the frunk sensors more sensitive to obstructions, some Cybertruck owners decided to test the update and forego the use of any vegetables. Here you go.
Literally pretty much crushed it, but literally has a little gouge. It feels a little bit numb, but really not that big of a deal.
Okay, so he didn't exactly walk away unscathed, but he still has his finger.
Yeah.
So checkmate, haters. It doesn't chop your finger off.
No, he still has the finger, and he has limited use of it, but still got it. It will heal.
And a pretty cool story, which money can't buy. Well,
That's
I guess like $100,000 can buy it.
You can buy a lot with $100,000.
Yeah. But hey, that's just one guy. Let's see someone else try it.
Everybody's been waiting for this, the finger. Without further ado, I feared for my finger for a second, not gonna lie. That's kind of bad, and you can see my finger is shaking.
All right, not great, but still, I desire more testing.
Yeah, let's see more fingers in frunk.
Yeah.
So let's give this another shot. We're closing the Cybertruck. I'm gonna put my finger flat right here and see what happens. Ready? Ow, okay. Oh my God. Ow. So I can confirm that is not a good idea, and you should not put your finger or anything else on the corner of the Cybertruck because it will break it and or cut it off.
Okay, well, sucks for that guy, but science is all about putting theories to the test. And I fucking love science.
I fucking love science.
Can you tell? My bow tie is spinning.
You guys should do this test with your dicks next.
Yes! Yes!
Yeah, stick
it
your
solves
dick
two
in it.
problems.
Yeah, we were just talking about how the Cybertruck has nowhere to put your dick, but guess what? We found it.
Yep.
The frunk.
Yeah, and it will stop any future Cybertruck owners
Frunk
by closing on it.
Frunk already sounds like a euphemism for like ass fucking or something.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she asked me to put it in the frunk. So now's your chance to really fuck one in the frunk.
There you go.
Anyway, meanwhile, it's not just people intentionally sticking their fingers in the Cybertruck's frunk that are getting seriously injured. Over on CybertruckOwnersClub.com, a real goldmine of a website that we love, we've got a recent post titled, Potential Injury Warning, Leg Cut by Door Corner. Warning, graphic image.
Oh, yeah, and no, but this is gnarly. It's bad.
Which reads, be careful when closing your Cybertruck door. I parked on an incline, exited the truck, and as I was closing the door, I managed to clip the very corner of the door against my leg. When I got home, the wife said I needed to go get stitches, so I did. I'm clumsy, so this is 100% my fault, lol. I still love the truck. And yes, this image attached, you know, you expect these people, they're like, oh, doing truck stuff, and it's like them putting a single bag of soil in there. So I'm like, oh, maybe he's exaggerating. No, this image is so fucking graphic.
He absolutely needed stitches.
That we can't show it. It's looking at it, it's insane that this guy would need to be told by someone else that he should go to the doctor and get that stitched up,
And
because that is a deep fucking wound.
Clearly cleaned up too. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to see it, but imagine what it looked like before he cleaned it up. Also, yes, I was just aghast by that story simply because the guy literally did the, oh, I'm just a klutz. It's definitely my fault.
It's my fault. I get out of the car wrong. I shouldn't have done that.
This Cybertruck, if it hit an artery, would have killed this guy.
Yeah, no, it is that serious.
Yeah.
Like, he's lucky that it was soft tissue because, yeah.
Well, Elon, actually, thank you, because chicks dig scars.
They do. And I should have read the page of the manual about properly getting out of the car without slicing up
the one that says all of the edges are extremely dangerous. Please do not even look at the Cybertruck.
Anyway,
it might attack you.
This thing, no one's gotten run over by a Cybertruck yet, but we have sort of a small glimpse at what that would be like with all those sharp edges.
There's been plenty of accidents for the amount of Cybertrucks that are actually on the road, for there to be enough accidents to see a constant stream of them is somewhat shocking.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's the same with all this other shit. It's like, if this was a mass-produced car, it would be one thing, like, seeing all these people just having a terrible time of it. But there's, like, 400 of these on the road, total.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I'm sure a few of those people it's been smooth sailing, but based on everything we've seen, those people should count themselves very lucky. Yeah. And it's also probably only a matter of time.
There's probably people who are having problems that don't want to post about it because they've realized they've wasted $100,000 and don't want to be made fun of.
The sunk cost.
Well, I'm already getting made fun of when I drive the damn thing. I don't need to be made fun of when I go home and start posting about it.
So many people are probably going to get fucking divorced over this car.
Yeah, probably.
If they aren't already divorced.
Yeah.
The divorce is coming.
Mm-hmm. And she gets the truck. But anyways, that's enough cyber suckage for today. Let's move on now to the world of artificial intelligence. And for once, we have a rare AI story about a use case that we can actually get behind. Yeah, that's right, a positive AI story. Though to be clear, this is very much an edge case and by no means justifies all of the other AI-generated bullshit that's increasingly clogging up the internet and sowing widespread societal mistrust. One of the most popular and successful country music artists of the past few decades is Randy Travis, who, starting in the late 70s, racked up 16 #1 hits on the Billboard Hot Country charts and won 7 Grammys, among many other accolades. But back in 2013, Randy Travis had a near-fatal health episode involving heart failure, stroke, and pneumonia, requiring several major surgeries to save his life, and resulting in permanent health issues, including paralysis, and most tragically, a near-total inability to speak or sing.
So you see where this is going. Mm-hmm. Through the magic of AI, Randy Travis is once again releasing new music. The track is called Where That Came From, and it involved the supervision of Travis and his wife and caregiver, Mary. So here's the AP. Warner Music Nashville co-president Chris Lacey taps developers in London to create a proprietary AI model to begin the process. The result was 2 models, one with 12 vocal stems or song samples, and another with 42 stems collected across Travis's career from 1985 to 2013, says Kyle Lenning, Travis's longtime producer. Lacey and Lenning chose to use Where That Came From, a song written by Scott Emmerich and John Scott Sherrill that Lenning co-produced and held onto for years. He believed it could best articulate the humanity of Travis's idiosyncratic vocal style.
Once he input the demo vocal, sung by James Dupree, into the AI models, it took about 5 minutes to analyze, says Lenning. I really wish somebody had been here with a camera because I was the first person to hear it. And it was stunning to me how good it was sort of right off the bat. It's hard to put an equation around it, but it was probably 70-75% what you hear now. There were certain aspects of it that were not authentic to Randy's performance, he said, so he began to edit and build on the recording with engineer Casey Wood, who also worked closely with Travis over a few decades.
The pair cherry-picked from the 2 models and made alterations to things like vibrato speed or slowing and relaxing phrases. Randy is a laid-back singer, Lanning says. Randy, in my opinion, had an old soul quality to his voice. That's one of the things that made him unique, but also somehow familiar. His vocal performance on Where That Came From had to reflect that fact. We were able to just improve on it, Lenning says of the AI recording. It was emotional, and it's still emotional. Mary Travis says the human element and the people that are involved in this project separate it from more nefarious uses of AI in music. Randy, I remember watching him when he first heard the song after it was completed. It was beautiful because at first he was surprised, and then he was very pensive, and he was listening and studying, she said. And then he put his head down, and his eyes were a little watery. I think he went through every emotion there was in those 3 minutes of just hearing his voice again.
And so, again, this is very much an edge case, but even though Randy Travis's new comeback isn't really Randy Travis, this feels like the least exploitative usage of AI to create art. It had original songwriters that were human.
Yeah, an algorithm trained exclusively on his
decades of his own voice.
Music, yeah.
A singer who did the performance and then was able to have the AI analyze that and produce it in Randy Travis's voice. Seems fine.
Yeah. I don't know. Seems like for everyone involved in this, it was a meaningful experience for them.
Yeah. He's supervising the whole process. The AI is trained on his own voice. Everyone involved put in the work to make the performance as authentic sounding as possible. Seems above board. Randy Travis and his loved ones get to hear his singing voice again after over a decade, which is crazy. And it's an understandably very emotional experience. Now, that still doesn't mean this technology isn't mostly going to be used for exploitative purposes, though. I mean, just in the past week, we saw Drake use AI to resurrect Tupac Shakur during his feud with Kendrick Lamar, something most people, including Tupac's estate, thankfully felt was gross and unnecessary and said, take that down or you're getting sued, buddy.
Yeah.
But in Randy Travis's case, yeah, this is fine. We're okay with this.
Yeah. I think it's nice.
I think it's a good test case for when people in general lose their voices and can still communicate, but would love to vocalize that audibly.
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily need to be singing, although that would be a funny way to have it get stuck.
Yeah, nothing about this stands. I mean, I'm coming at this from a very neutral perspective because Randy Travis, great voice, but not really my kind of music.
Mm-hmm.
But good for him. Good for them.
Yeah. It would be funny, though. I could see someone like Joel. He gets the AI voice box and he just turns it to singing the entire time. His whole life's a musical.
Yeah.
God forbid he loses his voice one day.
God forbid Joel gets a crippling ALS-like disease and is...
We're hoping that he doesn't, guys.
Confined to the Stephen Hawking chair.
But if he does...
Yeah. Hello!
It's Joel Rubin, everybody!
Anyway, something we're less okay with is the TSA's recent introduction of facial recognition devices at airports. And thankfully, a bunch of U.S. senators feel similarly. Mm-hmm. That's nice. And yeah, if you're lucky enough to not have traveled through any of the airports that have already rolled this out, I'm not that lucky. They have it at LAX and they have it at JFK, so I got to do it both ways. Here's the AP with how it works. TSA, which is part of the Homeland Security Department, has been rolling out the facial recognition technology at select airports in a pilot project. Travelers put their driver's license into a slot that reads the card, or they place their passport photo against a card reader. Then they look at a camera on a screen about the size of an iPad that captures their image and compares it to their ID. The technology is checking to make sure that travelers at the airport match the ID they present and that the identification is real. A TSA officer signs off on the screening. The agency says the system improves accuracy of identity verification without slowing passenger speeds at checkpoints. The technology is not being used as a surveillance tool to compile a database or monitor people in and around the checkpoints, according to the TSA. It says the photos and IDs are deleted after the passenger goes through the checkpoint.
Fuck off. There's no way they're not keeping this. Also, yes, it doesn't matter. You're getting, I guess it doesn't matter. You're getting tracked at every fucking point, especially when you're doing travel like this anyway. But it is funny that they're and just so everyone knows, we're not saving this.
Yeah, and they put that big bold letters on the thing. Photo is deleted immediately afterwards. The funny thing that they claim it speeds things up did not have really any noticeable effect whatsoever in my experience with it. It seems like
walking by a human and having them look at it was seemed pretty quick for me.
The bottlenecks that I dealt with were entirely due to staffing and not to do with, how do I look at all these driver's licenses and hold them up and see if the person looks like the person in the driver's license. That's not really a problem.
Also, we did go through something similar with the TSA 12, 13 years ago when they started doing the full body scans and everyone's like, you can actually kind of see my fucking dick on that.
Yeah.
And then, I could be wrong, but I feel like at some point, someone's did leak or something, or people were like,
I don't recall exactly. I think a guy at TSA during training, his coworkers saw that he had a little penis and they
made fun of him.
He sued for workplace harassment or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I hate that thing, but whatever. What are you gonna do?
It does feel. Everyone really, however long ago it was, 12, 13 years ago, everyone really did their part and said, "I'll take the pat down, please.
Yeah.
No big machines for me." And then, of course, everyone just goes through it now.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's yet another annoying TSA innovation, and pretty much where we would assume things are heading, but 10 senators representing both parties recently signed a letter to Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell demanding some limits. From their letter, the potential for misuse of this technology extends far beyond airport security checkpoints. Once Americans become accustomed to government facial recognition scans, it will be that much easier for the government to scan citizens' faces everywhere, from entry into government buildings to passive surveillance on public property like parks, schools, and sidewalks. Furthermore, this powerful surveillance technology, as deployed by TSA, does not make air travel safer. In response to congressional inquiries, TSA has not produced evidence that more false identification documents have been discovered since their implementation of facial recognition. The 3% error rate cited by TSA represents more than 68,000 mismatches daily if used on all 2.3 million daily travelers. Recent news reports that hundreds of passengers have bypassed TSA security checkpoints entirely in recent years suggest that TSA should focus on the fundamentals, not expanding its facial recognition program.
Yeah, no, it's just like I said, it's a staffing issue. There's never enough of them working there, and they're either rushing or they're not paying really that close attention. This is not a machine issue. This is an issue of morale, and no one really taking the job seriously anymore because it's been fucking 20 years, and what is the point of any of this?
Yes.
But yeah, a lot of great points in that letter. Even if the TSA is immediately deleting the data that they collect, this isn't something we need more of. And based on everything else we know about facial recognition, that 3% error rate almost certainly affects mainly black and brown people, because AI is really bad at telling them apart. So yeah, it's nice to see our lawmakers actually put their foot down on something like this. But speaking of senators and their views on air travel, Ted Cruz, he sure likes to fly.
They call him Cancun Cruz.
He likes to fly to such exotic international locales as Cancun, Mexico.
It's a little too cold here in Texas.
But he came out last week in opposition to a new, very straightforward law that you would think that nobody, except the airlines themselves, would be opposed to. It's that kind of thing. There are a few laws you can pass where it's everybody likes that. And this is
Ted
one of
Cruz.
those.
No, sir.
So here's the new republic.
Ted Cruz and 4 of his fellow members of Congress want you to fly through hoops to get a refund from an airline. Last week, the Biden administration issued a new rule requiring automatic refunds from airlines if a flight is delayed or canceled. But then, Senators Ted Cruz and Maria Cantwell, as well as Representatives Sam Graves and Rick Larson, proposed legislation that would undermine the rule by requiring passengers to submit a written or electronic request to get a full refund if their flight is canceled or heavily delayed. The bill would essentially make refunds only available to people who have the time and resources to navigate whatever processes an airline sets up. Plus, contacting an airline has never been easy to do. This would also seem to defeat the purpose of Biden's new rule: hassle-free payback to inconvenienced travelers. And yes, they will make that redemption process tougher than it needs to be.
Yeah.
And also, it doesn't feel like you're going to get look, it might work out, but when you fire off an email or submit a request, you're just kind of like left there to go, well, I wonder if that'll make it to anyone.
Yeah,
ever.
the rules of this, 'cause I was on a flight recently that was very delayed, but it has to be over 3 hours, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was like 2 hours and 40 minutes.
They did it on
I was kind of
purpose.
pissed, yeah. But yeah, I have, I mean, this was so recent that I haven't heard any stories of how it works. I mean, if nothing else, it'll force the airlines to maybe get their shit together a little bit more. And
you don't understand. These are all
avoid
Boeing
these
planes.
situations.
We
Yeah.
got to get out there with that aluminum duct tape and start working.
Yeah.
We need a little more time, okay? Plus, literally, climate change is making air travel like way worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, turbulence is worse. They have to go around these giant superstorms, which adds delays on both sides. It's not exactly fun.
Well, Ted Cruz thinks it's fun.
Well, Ted Cruz is taking just a short, quick jaunt over to Cancun, baby!
That's true.
Getting a margarita!
So anyway, notably, a few of those other people that are backing Ted Cruz here are Democrats who are presumably supporting this bullshit because they're from Washington, where Boeing and Alaska Airlines are headquartered. But it's unclear what Ted's motivation is.
Just being a stinker.
We are left to assume that he simply hates humanity and wants it to suffer as much as possible because he's a stinker. And that lines up with everything else we know about him. So it's got to be it.
Yeah. Wait, hold on. Something's passing with bipartisan support?
I don't think so.
I need a new topic for my podcast. And we're remote this week, baby. And you know where I'm coming from.
I think I might get my hair braided.
These are maracas. I picked them up
That's
on my
right.
way out of the airport.
Look at this steel drum. Feeling hot, hot, hot. But speaking of prominent Republicans that Donald Trump has humiliated and dog-walked, Ron DeSantis is apparently running out of culture war issues to rile up his supporters with because he's really scraping the barrel here, or scraping the drum, you might say. Because, yeah, his latest pet issue is something that at this point barely even exists. Lab-grown meat. We've got to do something about all this lab-grown meat. Here's The Verge.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed a bill on Wednesday banning the sale of lab-grown meat in the state. The legislation is a clear handout to the state's cattle industry. The state's Commissioner of Agriculture said it was about protecting our incredible farmers and the integrity of American agriculture. But DeSantis' statements make it clear that, like many of his other pet causes, the lab-grown meat ban is a culture war issue. Today, Florida...
That is what he sounds like.
Today, Florida is fighting back against the global elite's plan to force the world to eat meat grown in a petri dish or bugs to achieve their authoritarian goals, DeSantis said in a statement the day the bill was signed. A press release declared Florida was taking action to stop the World Economic Forum's goal of forcing the world to eat lab-grown meat and insects, hinting at a fringe conspiracy theory that has taken hold among some on the right. You dumbasses!
This is so just shameful. This is embarrassing.
I watched this documentary called Snowpiercer the other night, and that is happening. That was filmed in China.
This is like 4chan or Groiper shit. I will not eat the bugs. I will not sleep in the pod. What are you doing? You're the governor. Not for long, though, thankfully. It continues.
Well, it'll be his wife then after that.
In reality, lab-grown or cultivated meat isn't even available to most consumers yet. Unlike meat alternatives, cultivated meat is made from animal cells. The Food and Drug Administration has only approved lab-grown meat from 2 companies, Upside Food and Good Meat, neither of which sells their products in stores. In 2023, 2 restaurants started serving lab-grown meat: China Chilcano, Chef Jose Andres' high-end Peruvian restaurant in Washington, D.C., and Bar Cren, a Michelin-starred restaurant in San Francisco. Both restaurants have since stopped serving it, according to Vox. In other words, no one in Florida was eating lab-grown meat before the state banned it. The nascent industry is not yet competing with Florida's farmers.
I did it, everyone. I've solved the problem. You can all sleep soundly now.
Yes.
No, you will not be forced to eat lab-grown meat, which was going to happen.
Yep, any day now.
Any day. It was looming on the horizon. And I have saved you by stepping in front of it. You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
So yeah, Ron DeSantis has declared war and defeated. He's a very quick. Declared war and defeated an almost non-existent enemy. One which at best won't be a threat to big agriculture for many years, if ever. Probably not in our lifetimes.
No, it's like, I mean, they're making progress on it, but it's such an early stages thing.
Yeah. Also, it goes without saying that this would be a net benefit for so many things.
Right. Like, if they do at some point get to the point where you can't tell the fucking difference between lab-grown meat and real meat, who cares? Yeah. At that point, you're just being difficult.
Yeah, and meanwhile, on the other side of the aisle, Senator John Fetterman, seemingly not yet content at having alienated most of his original supporters, decided for no reason at all to chime in and agree with Ron DeSantis. Pains me deeply to agree with Crash and Burn Ron, but I co-sign this. As a member of Senate AG Dems, and as some dude who would never serve that slop to my kids, I stand with our American ranchers and farmers. By the way, this is the thing that makes the lab meat. And yeah, John, that is a picture of a piece of food processing equipment. You are correct. Got him.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got him. But using this to back up your stance is fucking idiotic, considering how much food, including real animal meat, goes through machines that look nearly identical. Have you ever seen how it's made?
John, have you ever had a chicken McNugget?
John, I'm sure, based on you, that you have fed your kids slop.
Yeah. You dress like a slob, you probably eat like one.
Yeah, so it was a great opportunity for many people to get in some dunks on John Fetterman by posting photos of the machinery that makes cheese, beer, juice, bottled water, milk, coffee, cooking oils, and so on. And it was a great excuse for us to once again share the video of Rockwell Automation's Retro Encabulator.
Rockwell Automation's Retro Encabulator. The original machine had a base plate of prefamulated amulite surmounted by a malleable logarithmic casing in such a way that the two spurving bearings were in a direct line with a panometric fam. The lineup consisted simply of 6 hydrocoptic Marsal vanes, so fitted to the ambifacient lunar wane shaft that side fumbling was effectively prevented.
It's so good.
I want to, there's multiple, there's generational versions.
Yeah, it's a joke going back to like the 40s. There's a really old one that's like black and white and shit. But this was just an inside joke for like engineers for like 80 years until YouTube came along.
Uh-huh.
Similar to that Wild Bill Hell's like used car lot. Fuck you, Baltimore. That was like done at some like auto dealership convention in the 90s. And
first of all, like all of the auto dealerships are doing like the TikTok and Reels thing now where they have like a viral clip and then they like there's the lady in the pool that splashes water and they like get soaked with water. But there's a guy now that just does the most mean-spirited responses that he stitches things together with. Like he literally was just like calling people fat and be like, anyways, we got a 2001 Jeep Wrangler, you fat fuck.
Damn.
He's going viral right now.
I don't want to buy a car from you.
It's very aggressive.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah.
But moving on now to one thing that all of our nation's lawmakers can agree on. TikTok has got to go.
What a weird unanimous thing.
Ho, ho. This Chinese app has got to go.
Even Ted Cruz is like, it's the one thing I can't go up against.
Well, Twitter's the only app I need. You can search for sensual blonde woman, and you can find lots of great clips on there. I don't need TikTok.
Ooh.
Time for a little porn-a-rooney.
Yes.
But yeah, despite both houses of Congress and the president passing the law that will result in TikTok either shutting down or getting sold, it is certainly not yet a done deal. And TikTok is not going down without a fight. Here's TechCrunch. TikTok is suing the United States government in an effort to block a law that would ban TikTok if its parent company, ByteDance, fails to sell it within a year. The lawsuit, which was filed on Tuesday, argues that the bill violates the U.S. Constitution. TikTok argues that the law violates the U.S. Constitution's commitment to both free speech and individual liberty. For the first time in history, Congress has enacted a law that subjects a single named speech platform to a permanent nationwide ban and bars every American from participating in a unique online community with more than 1 billion people worldwide, the lawsuit reads. That law, the Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary Controlled Applications Act, the Act, is unconstitutional.
TikTok argues that the U.S. government has not offered evidence to support its claims that the app poses risks to national security. Quote, the statements of congressional committees and individual members of Congress during the hasty, closed-door legislative process preceding the act's enactment confirm that there is at most speculation, not evidence, as the First Amendment requires, the lawsuit reads. TikTok goes on to say that the law is effectively seeking to ban the app, arguing that it is not possible to sell TikTok within the 270-day timeline it has been given. Petitioners have repeatedly explained this to the U.S. government, and sponsors of the act were aware that divestment is not possible, the lawsuit states. There is no question. The act will force a shutdown of TikTok by January 19th, 2025, silencing the 170 million Americans who use the platform to communicate in ways that cannot be replicated elsewhere. It seems pretty suspicious that all these elected officials are very on board when it comes to divesting here, but are very angry at students demanding that their colleges divest elsewhere.
Interesting. And yeah, this seems like a pretty solid case that TikTok's got here, especially since members of Congress who voted for this law just can't seem to help themselves when it comes to admitting out loud that stifling free speech was one of their primary motivations here.
They admit it. In videos, they admit it.
Yeah, so for example, over the weekend, Senator Mitt Romney and Secretary of State Anthony Blinken had a little conversation live on stage at an event, with Romney asking Blinken why the PR in support of Israel hasn't been as effective as in the past. And Blinken replying that social media has made that much harder.
You can't lie to people.
And then Romney just comes out and says this.
Yeah, a small parenthetical point, which is some wonder why there was such overwhelming support for us to shut down potentially TikTok or other entities of that nature. If you look at the postings on TikTok and the number of mentions of Palestinians relative to other social media sites, it's overwhelmingly so among TikTok broadcasts. So I'd note that's of real interest, and the president will get the chance to make action in that regard.
He admitted.
He admitted.
And similarly, last week during a webinar for the dark money group No Labels, Representative Mike Lawler said of the recent campus protests, quote, it also highlights exactly why we included the TikTok bill in the foreign supplemental aid package, because you're seeing how these kids are being manipulated by certain groups or entities or countries to foment hate on their behalf and really create a hostile environment here in the US.
And these are just some of the most recent and most egregious examples of these kinds of statements. There have been plenty more over the past few months, and TikTok's lawyers are, I would bet, definitely keeping track of every time that a lawmaker admits that they banned TikTok not for national security concerns, but because it was making teenagers dislike Israel.
Can't have that.
Which, by the way, it's completely fucking absurd. Even by the standards of Israel's previous military operations, you don't have to be brainwashed by TikTok to form the opinion that what's happening now is a humanitarian catastrophe that the United States should not be supporting. It's like TikTok isn't creating the videos of these tanks entering Rafah and intentionally just doing destruction because it's fun, running over I Love Gaza signs and supportive signs intentionally, and then filming themselves doing it.
And it's also people who are actually involved in posting and sharing this stuff will tell you that TikTok, it's actually very difficult to like post this stuff and not have it get like shadow banned on there. TikTok is notoriously very like brand safe with everything, and they're
just like
TikTok
Reels,
as a company is not. They're not stoked about videos of people being killed on their platform. They want pictures of fun stuff, recipes, dances.
Yes.
So it is.
Hey, why don't we all get back to dancing? Is what TikTok says.
So they're like, oh, TikTok is trying to make kids hate Israel. It's like, well, that's not fucking true. You're just mad that TikTok is the app that younger people use and does happen to feature some of this content.
I am curious as to whether or not Instagram and TikTok would allow someone, and for how long, to use that Macklemore song as a backing track on videos.
That will be interesting.
So
we'll see.
Yeah.
But speaking of the kids being all right, let's close the show on a lighter note.
Yeah.
So Ohio is probably the most average state in the nation.
We salute you.
And that's not an insult, that's just facts. That is the median American is right there in the great flat state of Ohio.
They do have a reputation of being the Florida of the North, but yes.
There for like a couple hundred years there, Ohio they picked the next president. Ohio always voted for whoever won.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was heartwarming then to see that when the commencement speaker for this year's OSU graduation inexplicably tried to hype up Bitcoin during his speech, the crowd of average American youths reacted with the largest collective groan that we have ever heard in our lives.
So I know this might feel polarizing, but I encourage you to keep an open mind right now.
No.
I see Bitcoin. It's decentralized and finite.
Yeah, I love it. I love to hear it. Love to see it. Thank you so much, students of OSU.
So that speaker, a tech bro, obviously, also admitted on social media that he had written his speech under the influence of ayahuasca after trying to use ChatGPT and being unsatisfied with the results. So
I love that the admission of using ayahuasca, it only came after trying to have AI write his script for him.
yeah, and the full speech was like, at one point, he sang Four Non-Blondes, What's Going On? Like,
didn't it say, like, it was written in there that he would take his shirt off at that point?
He went through so many drafts too that he was like sharing publicly to Instagram.
See, this is a great reason why if you're at a college and you're like, no, these pesky protesters are ruining my commencement ceremony. Don't worry. It was going to be dumb anyway.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this was way more interesting than most commencement speeches are. Mine was boring as shit. I couldn't tell you a single thing that happened.
Yes, you will forget all of these things that you think are very, very important to your life turn out not to be, like prom, commencement.
And this guy did it for free.
Your firstborn.
The part of this is like Ohio State, unlike a lot of colleges that pay commencement speakers and pay them kind of insane amounts of money, OSU has a policy of not paying their commencement speakers, so that it's a little bit harder for them to find one. As they were just like going through their alumni rolls and they're like, hey, this guy has money and is successful and went to OSU 15 years ago. Let's call him up. And he's like, yeah, sure. Sure.
It was this guy or Fwiz. And, well, I don't know. They're both crypto bros now, so.
Yeah, something, maybe Ohio, something going on there.
Well, it's changing. And thank goodness for that.
It is wild in May 2024 to hear someone tell you about the benefits of Bitcoin.
Or ayahuasca.
Well, that's too.
that's almost retro at this point, too. All the tech bros have already done it all.
They have.
There's a shortage.
And they've misused it.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, that's it for today's episode, and it will be the last episode of the week. We will be back next Monday night or so. We are heading out of town, and we appreciate you letting us have a little bit of a break. So thank you for that. And we'll be back. Well, don't worry about us. We'll be fine. Everything will be great.
Yeah.
We're going to have a fun time, and we'll be right back here making videos for you. But you know what you can do to send us off in the most loving way possible? Give the video a like.
Come on,
Thank
please.
you so much.
Come on.
And you know what would be so awesome, so incredibly awesome of you, is clicking the join button and becoming a paid subscriber. It's the cheapest content subscription that would be.
It's the best deal in town.
You get hours of content for just $5 a month. You don't have to pay for it, but you feel good about yourself when you do.
Right?
So click the join button if you want, but definitely leave a like. And if you haven't already, watch our previous videos. We got Diaper Don, and we got two white guys trying desperately to explain what's happening with Kendrick Lamar and Drake.
Yeah.
So enjoy both of those. We'll see you soon.
Bye.